Sickos Club.
Sickos Club.
Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrating the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! Hello, everybody. It's your boy, Blaine Daly, back at you with another edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, special Sunday edition, a pro wrestling podcast about pro wrestling, and I am honored and grateful, as always, humbled even, to be joined by the best there is, Joshi.
Hey.
Are you all right?
What? I'm excellent. I'm doing super well. The best I've ever been.
The best you've ever... What the fuck is going on with your eye? Do you have an infection or something?
No. My eye is totally fine.
Did it bleed recently?
Oh, I think I may have accidentally hit my eye on something the other day.
You accidentally hit your eye on something?
Yes. Maybe.
And you did?
I don't remember.
Did it hurt?
I think so.
You think so? Dude, go to the doctor.
I don't want to wait for hours in the emergency. I'm totally fine. I'm feeling really good right now.
Okay. Well, I hope your eye feels better.
I'll keep you posted, but I think you're worrying too much. I think I look good.
You're my bestie. Of course I worry. Like, I mean,
I appreciate that.
When you got looks like your eye was bleeding.
It's a new look.
It's a new look. It's definitely a look. Okay. Well, Joshi, we got a lot to talk about. Rather than our usual round of bullshit, please get your eye checked out. We're just going to jump right into it, okay?
Hi, Blade. I've got something to say.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What?
I'm listening.
Oh, right. Sorry. I thought we were going to start talking about our topics on the show.
Well, yeah. I mean, you said you had something to say, so go ahead.
Okay. I've got something to say.
Okay.
All right. So this week we found out that WWE is using TNA to compete with AEW. First off, I would like to say that we do not like talking about WWE. We don't like WWE. We don't watch WWE. However, this information came up and we both found it very annoying and ridiculous and just petty. So basically, it's been speculated that TNA is trying to get a streaming deal and willing to move their show to Wednesdays to compete against Dynamite.
Guys, I just want you to know, because this is an audio-only podcast, every time she says compete, she's doing like the quote hands, compete.
I'm using quotations.
Yes, yes.
They also announced that they are rerunning a full pay-per-view and TV special this Wednesday to compete with Dynamite on Fubo, DirecTV, Plex, YouTube TV, Comcast, Roku, Pluto TV, Samsung TV Plus, and TNA's YouTube channel. So anyone that thinks WWE is doing their own thing and they're not worried about AEW and everything is so peachy and Triple H is this amazing, loving man, wake the hell up. They don't want AEW to exist. This has gotten to the point, though, where this is just sad. It's such stupid behavior. I mean, first off, who the heck is going to watch TNA over Dynamite on Wednesdays? AEW fans aren't magically going to wake up one day and say, I'm not watching Dynamite. I want to watch good old TNA. I just don't see that happening.
Right. No, I think that's the first thing, right? Is in the past, when WWE pulled shit like this, because TNA is not, this isn't their, like, they just had this great idea. Like, Dave Meltzer said on The Observer, and I mean, guys, we understand this is not our usual lane, okay? But this is kind of an exceptional circumstance, all right? Dave Meltzer says that WWE has some kind of deal in place where they have the right to buy TNA for a certain amount of time. And then they kind of have the right of first refusal if somebody else tries to buy TNA. That there's a set price that they can buy TNA. And it really wouldn't surprise me. A lot of people have speculated that they will buy TNA. My thing is, I don't think so. Because what would really work for them is to build up somebody to help them crush AEW, that they can then say, but look, we still allow competition. Look how well TNA is doing, right? If they own them, they can't do that, right? But they can prop them up. But TNA should probably, just like anybody who works with Donald Trump, should probably look at the trail of broken dead bodies of all the people WWE has said they were going to help who they've just stepped on and stepped over. And nobody, Joshi, is gonna tune out of Dynamite to go tune in to TNA. Okay, NXT, when they had Keith Lee and Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and all these much bigger names than whoever's in fucking NXT right now, okay, they got crushed by Dynamite. All right. So what makes them think TNA is any competition in this contest of whatever? Also, you may remember about 3 weeks ago, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know. We live in hell. 3 weeks could have been 10 years ago. It came out that Peacock is the quote unquote front runner for the streaming rights for TNA. How many people do you think are falling all over themselves to bid on TNA right now? Like, that story clearly came up from WWE. You know what I mean? The front runner, like, whatever. This is so ridiculous, as you said, because I think before AEW got their first TV renewal, this would be worrisome, right? Mm-hmm. Because WWE is running like main roster pay-per-views against AEW pay-per-views. It sounds like they're going to run John Cena's last match against World's End this year. And I think before they got a rights renewal, when ratings were starting to fall, stuff like that, this all was actually kind of worrisome. Now, it's kind of hilarious what they think can compete with AEW. Like, they are very out of touch with what wrestling fans actually want. And thinking TNA, it's like somebody on Blue Sky said, it's like your grandma buying something she would have bought for a 7-year-old when you're like 15.
Right.
And thinking that's like the gift you would have always wanted. You know what I mean?
And also, wasn't it announced that they want to have their PLE where Brock Lesnar will wrestle John Cena next Sunday? So it will basically go head to head with Forbidden Door. It's reached a point where they're doing this all the time. Every time AEW has a pay-per-view, they want to either put a PLE out that's going to go head to head with the AEW pay-per-view, or they're going to do Saturday Night Main Event. Honestly, guys, just stop. It hasn't worked until now, and it's not going to work. This is very petty behavior. Mm-hmm. And some have said this is a TKO play. I don't know about that. I think this is something that Vince McMahon would have done. Mm-hmm. He was well known for wanting to hurt any kind of competition that he had. So I just think that you got to stop putting all the blame on TKO. This is something that Triple H and Nick Khan want as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just so stupid to me because they're choosing to represent their company in a certain way. And they know that that representation is going to turn some people off. But they continue to do that. And they continue to make decisions that some fans don't agree with and that make them not want to watch their shows anymore. And instead of saying, hey, why don't we stop being less MAGA? Why don't we make our shows better? They rather just keep trying to hurt AEW. I don't understand this kind of logic. This feels so Vince McMahon to me. This is something that he would have done. And it's just so funny that for a good 2 years, the internet was just praising Paul Levesque and saying how he was so different from Vince and how he was making WWE so much better. What happened this year? This is like a mini Vince McMahon in terms of how he does business, him and Nick Khan, right?
Yeah. Well, so Mr. Warren Hayes, great streamer on YouTube that I tune into occasionally when I can, made a great point. He said this was the year where the aftermath of Vince was finally done as far as creative and as far as all the things that Vince greenlit, like the Bloodline, the Cody story, all of that stuff started under Vince. And Triple H had that to play with. And this will be remembered as the first year where Paul Levesque had the sole creative voice in WWE and that he wasn't following up on something somebody else created. And this is his legacy, right? It's
These
the year
that
the fans are going, fuck this. This is garbage. Even WWE fans. And so hardcore WWE fans, whether it's the MAGA stuff, whether it's platforming terrible people, Hulk Hogan, with the Great American Beer stuff.
Brock Lesnar
coming back. It's really wouldn't surprise anybody if Vince McMahon ends up back on TV somehow. I don't think he'll ever run anything in WWE again because that's a threat to Nick Khan. That's a threat to everybody at TKO. That's a threat. He's hard to work with. There's no point in working with Vince. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes into the Hall of Fame or if he, they don't care what people think anymore. They think they're bigger than that. But I think what really, you got to look at the reality here. The reason this looks pathetic is because TNA, and look, there are people who work for TNA that I have so much respect for. This is not about the performers. This is not about the coaches, okay? They are a zombie wrestling promotion, okay? No matter what highs they've experienced over the last decade or so, those highs are fleeting and they're quickly forgotten. Scott D'Amore, announces the return of TNA. And everybody got super excited, and then they fired him. Like right after that first event where Okada was there, they had Ospreay, they had, some real genuine excitement, and then they immediately exterminated it and let go so much talent. And one of those talents has found a new home. We'll be talking about that a little later. But the reputation of TNA has been permanently tarnished. I just don't think they can get out from under that. And like I said, NXT got destroyed by Dynamite when they went head-to-head for a year and a half. When they had bigger stars, they had Adam Cole. They had Keith Lee. They had a bunch of people in NXT that could not help them in the ratings beat AEW. And I think that's what it gets down to, Joshi, is the idea of AEW is it's for everyone. It's wrestling the way you want wrestling to be. A company that listens to its fans, a company that cares about pro wrestling as an art form and as something that is not, inherently like to boost a stock price. It's not about revenue. They don't have a bunch of AEW fans just freaking out over how much money they're making all the time. And Raw, the reality is Raw is drawing, Meltzer revealed this week that Raw is drawing less than 1 million viewers same day on Netflix. And that's live plus afterwards within 24 hours. Okay. Dynamite, if they're drawing 600,000-700,000 people on cable and drawing 500,000 people or 400,000 people on Max, they're outdrawing Raw now, same day. Okay? So, that's not anybody's fault but WWE's, So, Joshi, I think our biggest takeaway here is WWE doesn't want you to have a choice, okay? They don't want a company to make way less than them but still thrive, be way less recognizable than them but still thrive. They want one choice. They're brand X. They are a cartoonishly evil corporate empire at this point. And it's sad for their fan base. And I'm just glad you and I got the fuck out when we did.
This is a company that has always wanted to monopolize professional wrestling, and they continue to want to do that. Anyone that thought Vince McMahon stepping down would change that was living in their own little fantasy island, because Paul Levesque, even when Vince McMahon was running WWE, he tried to get NXT Japan going, NXT Mexico. He took away so many wrestlers from the UK for NXT UK. The signs were already there that he was that type of person. And keep in mind, he was trained by Vince McMahon. He has the same attitude about the business. And we're seeing that with him and Nick Khan and TKO right now. They still want to monopolize professional wrestling. This is why when WWE announces that, oh, they're working with this new promotion, it's hard to get excited. My initial reaction is feeling bad for that promotion, because I know what WWE is actually trying to do. It's like that promotion is going to lose all of its authenticity. That's out the window. WWE controls you now. Mm-hmm. And so for me, my recommendation to promotions is stay away from that company. Honestly, I get it. They'll put your talent on TV here and there, but man, you will never be the same company again. And also, I just want to say something about WWE and to WWE. Keep embracing fascism. Keep bringing in wrestlers that are problematic. Keep doing this. You're just hurting yourselves and you're showing your true colors. Mm-hmm. I do not feel bad for them at all. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for them. I totally agree with that, Joshi. And I think that the ultimate point for me is like, look, you may be able to do something that cuts into the buy rate of a pay-per-view. You may be able to hurt one episode of Dynamite with some little stunt here or there, right? When you load up NXT with The Undertaker and Cody Rhodes and all this shit, right? You may be able to do that. But what you can't do, and what they haven't been able to do for 6 years now, is you cannot take away the devotion people have to what AEW represents. And people have gotten a taste for what pro wrestling really is again, and they're not going to let it go. So no matter what you do, no matter how propped up you are by a stock price, you guys have shown us who you are. And I think that we may potentially be watching what will eventually be the downfall of Paul Levesque, Nick Khan, and very possibly WWE to a greater extent. So, and that is nobody's fault but theirs. And again, I feel bad for their wrestlers and their fans, but we got to move on. You know, we got to move on. So, guys, keep up with the shenanigans. It's pathetic. AEW setting the pace now is so obvious because WWE is following the leader, not the other way around. So, AEW is the one setting the pace now. WWE doesn't know what they're doing until AEW announces their show. You know what I mean? Comical. But Joshi.
Yes.
I have finally accepted that I am the one bringing the block rocking motherfucking beats to this show each and every. By the way, are you your arms? They're looking a little. Them? You're looking a little buffer. Are you buffer?
Maybe. I guess. Yeah.
Have you been working out?
No, I don't work out.
Do you have a tan?
Well,
you're not spray tanning. You're not spray. No,
I'm not spray tanning. It's been really hot, so I guess I just naturally tan.
Huh. Okay.
I look great, don't I?
All right. Block rockin' beats. You
didn't answer.
Block. Joshi, we're back. You look great. You do look great.
Thank you.
I you know, in a respectful way, you look great. I just, you know, very different.
Well, next week, I would like to show you my new painting.
What?
Yeah.
You paint?
Anyway.
You're painting now?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, God. I mean, that's awesome. I would love to
Thank
see
you.
your painting. I like to encourage my friends to have creative pursuits. So that's fantastic. Have you talked to Uncle Don recently?
I have spoken to Uncle Don.
How's he doing?
He's doing really well. He's really
always
happy.
is.
Yeah, he's so supportive. Gave me a big hug. Told me if I need money, he'll be happy to give me some. He actually took me out to this 5-star restaurant.
He did.
And we had a wonderful dinner.
Yeah.
We talked smack about Tony Schiavone and Excalibur.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, I'm glad you brought that up because Kyle Fletcher was in a match this week with the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander versus Brody King and our boy Hiromu Takahashi.
Yeah. Hiromu.
Hiromu showed up. He is going to challenge Kyle Fletcher at Forbidden Door. Hologram was there.
He was.
You know, it was a good time had by all. And they had a fun match. And Hiromu pinned Josh Alexander. But who wasn't on commentary?
I've got something to say. That match could have been a 4-star match.
Mm-hmm.
But because Uncle Don wasn't on commentary,
yeah,
it dropped to like 1 star for me.
We were private mess. I gave it a -1.
Oh,
like,
yeah. It deserves
it was gonna get a minus
100.
Yeah, it was going to get a -5, but Hiromu was there. So that bolstered my interest in it a little bit, but Don wasn't on commentary. Did you hear how fucking biased those announcers
my God.
were?
It was terrible. It was, I mean, really, you have to call it down the middle, Tony Schiavone.
Exactly.
I couldn't believe it. It was just so hard to listen to those guys talk. Whenever Don is on commentary, it's like going to church and finding peace. I didn't feel that way on Dynamite, watching Dynamite this week. It was just a huge headache for me. A bunch of chaos. Nobody there to put these guys in their place and actually call the match right down the middle.
It's like finding God, honestly, when Don's on commentary, you know, like the way people are like, I found Jesus. Like, that's how I feel when I hear Uncle Don on commentary. Like, lead me. Lead me, Uncle Don.
He has such a soothing voice.
He does. He has a soothing voice. He has a soothing scar.
Yeah.
Very soothing.
Beautiful tan.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just super buff.
I had to look at that freaking Tony Schiavone that's too old to be on commentary. At Excalibur that's always hiding his freaking face, even though he isn't a luchador. I don't know what his problem is, and he doesn't even speak Spanish.
Yeah. No, it's pathetic. Honestly,
I'm tired of these guys. I'm fed up.
Well, and Taz is just so up and down, you know, like sometimes
he's so wishy-washy.
He's so wishy-washy. Like, you know, sometimes he like supports Uncle Don and sometimes he doesn't. And, you know, like he kind of talks smack behind Uncle Don's back. And then Uncle Don sits down and he's nice to him. And it's like, Uncle Don, at least, like, you can hate Uncle Don. And it's weird. Like, a lot of people said that, like, listening to this show is like weird now because we're so pro Don.
Why wouldn't we be?
And I'm more like, what's your guys' problem? Like,
yeah, really. They're the ones that are always picking on him.
I just feel like thank you, Don, is just like such an obvious thing to say. And like, we're just stating the obvious. So,
well, and 2 more things, I about Uncle Don.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we could do the whole show about Uncle Don.
Did you see how disappointed, sad, and lost Kyle and Josh looked without Don? I really felt for them, man. They wanted him to be there.
Yeah, and Josh is like still trying to like prove himself in AEW. You know, he's only been there for like 3 months, 4 months, and he took the pin.
All because Don wasn't there.
Because Don wasn't there.
Well, see, that's the second thing I wanted to say. They lost because of no Don.
Yeah. And like Brian Cage, he's been out injured for like a long time now, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think his recovery would go faster if Don was by his bedside every day, like
Of course
encouraging
it
him
would.
and training him and like making him carry him to the refrigerator so Don could get a beer and stuff? Like
Yeah.
piggyback, you know?
And Don has special Canadian medicine.
He does. He does. Like how to make that scar just stay perfect looking.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason.
It was just
How's your
I was so mad.
Is your eye okay?
Again with the eye. I told you I'm totally fine. All of a sudden I see 2020 now.
Okay.
2020 vision. My vision's improved because of this eye thing that you're talking about.
So Joshi, I think I've got some interesting news for you here.
Tell me.
I think somebody in AEW might be listening to this show because the Triangle of Madness, 2 parts, Sky Blue and Tekla, teamed with Mercedes Moné to face Queen Aminata, Willow, and who was the other person?
Alex Windsor.
That's right. It was Alex Windsor.
But I Blade, who listened to our show?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. But
okay.
When Tony Storm got a big special introduction, I tightened up. My butt tightened up a little bit. I was like, oh, Joshi's not going to be happy about this.
You're always worried of me.
Except Athena also got the big special intro. That was something we were talking about last week, is when you do it only for Tony, it makes her look so much bigger than everybody else. And they did it this week. I hate to say it this way because I don't want to demean the match they had, which was very good.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe my favorite part of this match was the very beginning when the Triangle of Madness with Julia Hart was trying to do their little seance thing in the middle of the ring and Mercedes tried to join in. And then they looked at her like, what the fuck are you doing? And she like threw a fit that they did. She's like, I thought it was a prayer circle.
Oh my God. Mercedes is killing it in AEW. And I love her hair like that, by the way. It's so
crimped,
nice.
Yes.
Yes.
The crimped hair.
Reminds
Mercedes,
me of, you remember Scary Spice?
Yes. Oh yeah. She's got the Scary Spice going on. That's true.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Anyway, they had a great match. It was a lot of fun. Windsor looked great in the match and got a pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am really looking forward to that match at Forbidden Door. But Joshi, there was some other big news from Dynamite this week that was pretty fucking awesome. And it honestly, it really hit me in a big way that I didn't expect because we all saw it coming, right? But when it actually happened, it really kind of blew my mind, which was Adam Copeland and Big Stoke had one hell of a match. Is Stokely Hathaway, look, he's no Uncle Don. Okay, nobody is. But he's just right behind him, right? Like, Big Stoke is amazing.
He's a little weasel.
Those devastating spears that he did to Cope.
Oh my gosh.
So he tries to spear Cope and just bounces off of him like 2 or 3 times. Also, Copeland's reactions to him were just priceless. Like, Stoke spears him and bounces off, and Cope's like, you should try again. Why don't you give it another shot, see if it works? And then Stokely's like yelling at him, and Cope's like, oh, come on, man. Let's have a good time, And then Cope starts kicking his ass, throws him to the outside. There's a few people on the outside. Cope gives the mic to. He's like, gives the mic to this one guy. This guy is clearly a plant. Says he's bald. He gets no hose. He's been fighting his whole life.
Yeah, he's short. He's bald, and he can't get no hose.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. And then Cope asked the crowd, quite frankly, are there any hoes in the building? And quite a few women cheered, honestly. I thought that was interesting. But he comes up to one of them who cheered and, asked her, would he have any chance with you? And she asked him if that was a serious question. And then she said, hell no. Hell no. And so Cope continues the beatdown. It's Stoke took it like a champ. I mean, let's be honest. He is Big Stoke.
He is.
FTR runs down to get Cope to back down, but they know that if they interfere in this match, that their little restraining order against Cope is called off. which is clearly the whole point, right? Is to get them to interfere. But when Cope finally goes for the big spear on Stoke, Stoke is a step ahead and throws powder in his eyes. And FTR finally can't help themselves. They run in. They start beating down Cope. They're going to give him, like, I think the spike pile driver.
Yeah.
And whose music should hit?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, exactly. Father of the Year, Christian, who's now maybe considering being Brother of the Year. And he runs down with Spike to take some revenge against FTR and Stoke, who had a lot to do with Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian seemingly turning against him. Nick Wayne appears from out of nowhere with Kip Sabian to try and attack Christian, but Christian's ready for him and swings Spike, and Nick Wayne goes running for the hills. They do the slow back up into each other. They turn around. Cope and Christian come face to face, and Christian, perfect dramatic timing, gives Spike back to Cope and then turns around like, go ahead, let me have it. And in a moment that almost actually made me tear up, a grown man watching this shit, Cope whips him around, spins him around, throws Spike to the ground, and just hugs Christian. And I got to tell you, I got a little teary.
Oh, I was very emotional.
Was that not just a beautiful moment?
Of course. We love these two. We grew up with these two together. And this is a moment I've actually been very impatient for. And I actually found it very interesting that Wrestling Observer thought this moment was rushed, because for me, it was actually the opposite reaction. I just wanted them to reunite. And every week after Christian got attacked by the matriarchy now, I would just wonder, when is Christian going to come out and help Copeland? When is that going to happen? So for me, it's just one of those things where we knew the moment that Copeland signed with AEW that they would reunite at some point. And I think we've been patient enough. I don't see why they would have waited any longer. I'm just happy that they're finally together and we get to see him on one final tag team run. And so I have no criticism about it at all. It was so well done. It was emotional. I hope that Christian will still be an asshole, because we love him as an asshole. He doesn't need to be a nice guy all of a sudden. And I think in his promo from 2 weeks ago, it was very apparent that he's not just going to change and become the super nice dude all of a sudden. He's going to continue to be a jerk, but a lovable jerk, Right. So I'm really excited to see their dynamic. I don't think it's going to be the same as it was when they first formed as a tag team. I mean, they're older now. And as I said, Copeland's they're not going to turn heel together or anything like that right now. But it will be fun to see Copeland as a babyface and Christian as that asshole that you just love. Well,
when they had their podcast years ago, that went into the pandemic, I think, it really spotlighted their true relationship, which is that Cope is this kind of gregarious, hammy. He likes being the center of attention. Christian also likes being the center of attention. But Copeland was very clear on that podcast that Christian's nickname has always been the Dick, and that he's kind of an asshole. And that, that is really kind of Jay Rizzo. That is kind of who he really is a little bit. Even if he's a good guy, Copeland loves like Pearl Jam and the Foo Fighters. And, Copeland made fun of Christian because he was into the Backstreet Boys and all this stuff, so it's like they have an odd couple friendship and they are close like brothers, their kids all feel like family to each other. Uncle Jay is what they call Christian, in the Copeland household. So it's just a really cool thing that they get to do this their way. And Warren Hayes, again, made a great point, which is, look, WWE would not have let them do it this way. No. They would have, look at what they're doing with Cena's last match. Look at what they're doing with, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. They're just using it to fight AEW. They're not making it feel special on its own. Goldberg's last match didn't feel special on its own. It just felt like a way to get a leg up on AEW somehow. that's exactly what they would have done with Christian and Edge if they were there, But instead, you get a gifted storyteller like Copeland and Christian, and you put them together and you let them do this way. There were so many little moments from the past that were all cross-referenced in this segment. Remember when they hugged and Christian said, "Go fuck yourself,"
Yes.
That was referenced when they hugged again, this time. And it was different, and Christian legitimately hugged Copeland and he looked a little like lost on what to do. And Christian did back away from Copeland in this without really like looking happy. So there's still more to be discovered in all of this. And later it was announced, and this might be why people feel it's a little rushed, is that Copeland and Christian will face Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian at Forbidden Door, which is in a week, right? So even if it is a little rushed, that's wrestling sometimes. That's just, at some point, you just got to pull the trigger, right? These guys are both under contract for a finite amount of time. You just got to do it. And so I'm very excited to see how this stacks up. But these are two legends being given a great run. Neither one of them needs the world title or any of that. They're just making the most of it and showing the fans why they've loved them so much all these years. And really, for me, both of them have been able to show what fantastic and creative storytellers they are. But that wasn't all that happened on Dynamite, Joshi.
No.
Hangman Page and MJF had a little stare down. And MJF thought he was going to get one over on Hangman Page, like he usually does, right? And
yes.
Hangman called him an incel. He said, "Your dumb little shtick isn't going to work on me. You are not going to goad me into giving you a match. You are going to have to execute that contract. That's the only way." I said there were only two ways you were going to be able to do this. You either execute that contract and you tell me to my face you're doing it, or you earn it. And you haven't done either one of those things. But that's the only way this is happening. No other way. And also, stop calling me Seabiscuit, because do you know the tale of Seabiscuit? He won in the end, you dumbass. Like, I love that dumbass is Hangman's favorite put down.
Me too.
So he baits MJF into slipping up and finally executing the contract. I'm very relieved we're not going to get a Money in the Bank style cash in from either one of these. And it's both happening at Forbidden Door, which we'll get into a little later. And then lastly, my only note from this was that the Death Riders beat down Speedball and Kevin Knight after Jon Moxley beat Kevin Knight by submission before Darby came out with a body bag and a skateboard, just walking down the ring like a little elf, just possessed goth elf with a body bag. And then he hits Yuta in the face with the skateboard and then does an ollie off his back with the skateboard. It did not look comfortable at all. Wheeler Yuta, everybody's favorite, just like punching bag. And Darby just, starts putting Yuta in a body bag. Moxley runs to the outside. Him and Marina are just going to let Yuta be sacrificed at the stake for them again. But Claudio runs out and returns. I don't think, has he not been on the show since All In? It's been a while.
I think it's possible. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. And he just kind of beats the shit out of Darby, as, you would expect. But Claudio with little smaller guys is always a fun thing to watch because he always does something interesting. So he pulls Yuta out of the body bag and he stuffs Darby in the body bag. And then he mounts him on his shoulders and does a crazy fucking spin on his shoulders with Darby in a body bag. Then at one point uses no hands to keep doing it. And then releases Darby. Darby spins around and just crashes to the mat. But then, no music, no nothing. Will Ospreay appears in the background and starts beating the living fuck out of Claudio and Mox and all these people and says, "Oi, mate, I'm back." And he challenges the Death Riders to a lights out cage match at Forbidden Door. At the time, they only announced that it's going to be Ospreay and Darby, but later it's revealed that Will has called the ace. I love that in the interview with Renee, Will goes, I made a match without even asking him. And I went into business for myself on television. And so when I went and talked to the boss, Tony Khan, naturally he was delighted. He was very happy about it. So I called a friend across the seas and said, "Oi, mate, do you want to? We need you for this match. You want to work your last show in the UK? Doing this last match." It was the ace Hiroshi Tanahashi, and he said yes. And then it was announced that the Young Bucks are going to join Gabe Kidd, Claudio, and Mox versus Will Ospreay, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kenny Omega, Darby Allin, and Kota Ibushi in a lights out cage match at Forbidden Door. That's quite a match.
It is. I just have 2 comments.
Yeah.
First off, I hope that Will Ospreay and Gabe Kidd are 100% at Forbidden Door.
Me too.
I am a little bit concerned about that because Gabe Kidd's injury looked pretty serious. And I mean, I don't know how serious Ospreay's was, but it just seems like a really, really quick return. Hopefully, they're 100%. Secondly, I was very surprised to find out that Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega were going to be in this match because we haven't seen them in a few weeks. And so I didn't think they were going to be our Forbidden Door period. And don't get me wrong, I'm really happy that they're going to be there, of course. But I'm just really surprised that they haven't been on TV. Maybe they'll show up on Dynamite. I don't know. But that one was definitely an interesting build because a lot of these guys haven't been on television for a while. I'm not complaining. I think it's going to be great. Just a quick comment that I wanted to make. So looking forward to see Kenny and Kota again. I really hope to see them on Dynamite, though. I think that would add more to this match.
Yeah, well, and Dynamite's in Scotland this week, so I think they will be there because they're all going to be there anyway. And I think it only makes sense to have everybody there to build this week. Look, there was no build to this match. If anything feels rushed, it's this, where it's like, oh, by the way, Kenny and Kota Ibushi are going to be in this match, but I think Kenny was off to do this Street Fighter thing that he was doing, I guess. He just needed some time off to go do it. I'm glad he wasn't hurt. I'm glad it wasn't anything too serious. I hope Will Ospreay doesn't do anything too crazy in this match. My thought is doing a lights out cage match might actually be a way to preserve Gabe Kidd and Will and give them a little bit of cover so that other people can do the crazy shit. You got the Young Bucks, who we know will do some crazy shit. You've got Jon Moxley, who's perfectly willing to do some crazy shit. You got Darby Allin, So you got some people who can kind of take that part of it. So let's hope that that's what it's for. But yeah, so that's what was announced on Dynamite. As the people hear this, we've seen Collision, and some pretty cool stuff happened on Collision. Joshi, why don't you jump into that?
I've got something to say, I Blade.
Okay.
So, yes, we have to talk about Collision because there were some returns and there was a signing and there was also a huge match announced. So we have to talk about this.
We do.
First off, Athena and Billy Starks attacked Tony Storm during a promo. And Mina Shirakawa made the save and challenged Athena for the ROH title at Death Before Dishonor. So Mina's back, which is great. Luckily, she wasn't out for too long, so that's a huge relief. Very, very positive news. Another wrestler that returned on Collision was Harley Cameron. She showed up after the women's match, the four-way. So that's really great news as well. They were basically teasing that she was coming back soon, so glad to see that Harley is fully recovered.
Yes.
Now, the big thing that we want to talk about, one of the big things, is that Ricochet had a match against a debuting Ace Austin. He was formerly in TNA, and he also showed up in New Japan at times. So very exciting. I didn't even know he was a free agent, to be honest. I'm really bad at keeping up with this stuff. Yeah. And
I don't even think Fightful or anybody really talked about it.
No, nobody talked about it. So like after the match, Tony Khan came out and announced that Ace is all elite now. I think this is an amazing signing.
I couldn't agree more. He is one of those talents over there. And I do not mean this to demean anybody in TNA. I admire the performers there. There's other people that I think are extremely good But as far as who over there I would have liked to see in AEW specifically, there aren't a lot. And that's not a diss. It's just what it is. And Ace Austin is one of the people that I'm like, oh man, that guy's like a perfect fit. Just the way he's built, the way he wrestles, the high work rate style. Like that's AEW through and through. There's some other people there that I think are great wrestlers that I don't think want to be in AEW or for whatever reason could have been, but are not. We don't have to get into all that, but I was very excited to see that Ace is all elite. I think that's a great fit and kind of a great fuck you signing by TK.
Oh yeah. Good job, TK. Good job.
Like if TNA is going to compete with us, well, fuck it. Here's one of their stars. Yeah.
I have one more recommendation for TK. Sign Lena Cross. Just do it. Do it before TNA signs her.
Yeah.
Everybody was impressed by her when she made her debut on Collision. Do it. Like screw TNA now. They're WWE's little puppets. So you know what? Just sign her.
Yep.
The last thing that we want to talk about that happened on Collision, which was a really big deal. So Nigel McGuinness beat Lee Moriarty, Daniel Garcia, and Hechicero, and will face Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door for the IWGP Heavyweight title. This was absolutely the right call. These two have never faced each other before. Mm-hmm. They're both British. It makes sense that you would have two big British stars face each other in England. And they're just both technical experts. I'm very excited for this match. I didn't think we would ever get this match. So super grateful, super psyched. I think this is going to be very special, and I think it's going to be even more special for the crowd in attendance.
What a cool match to be able to give the UK, is two native sons who both are legends. Zack Sabre Jr.'s had the run of his life this last year, very well deserved. I mean, just such a great performer through and through. And Nigel, has come back. He wrestles very infrequently, but when he does, it feels like a big deal. He's put over people like Lee Moriarty. He's put over Bryan Danielson on Bryan Danielson's kind of retirement tour. And they got to have the match that he had wanted to have at Grand Slam. And so Nigel wrestling for the IWGP World Heavyweight title means something to me. And two guys who are known to be, super technical wrestlers being able to do this at Forbidden Door, that is a sicko dream match. And I thank everybody, Tanahashi and Tony for making it happen, because that's a big deal. All right. I'm going to fucking drop some fucking smacking beats. Smacked, mollywopped, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to drop some beats, and then when we come back, we're talking Forbidden Door, and then we're out. All right. Joshi.
Hey.
Let's quickly just run through Forbidden Door, what we know right now. Okay. We know Cope and Christian are going to face Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian. We know that the Hurt Syndicate is either going to face Brodito or FTR. FTR attacked Brodito at Collision. Fuckers. You keep your hands off my son, Bandito. And his uncle, Brody, who is my brother. Which he doesn't know, but he does now. For the tag titles. So it'll either be Brodito or FTR. Coil Fletcher versus Hiromu Takahashi for the AEW TNT title. Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windsor versus Persephone.
Yay.
Versus a TBD from Stardom. Let's hope it's Shuri.
I hope so.
For the TBS title. Kazuchika Okada versus Swerve Strickland for the AEW Unified title. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Nigel McGuinness for the IWGP World title. Hangman Adam Page versus MJF for the AEW Men's World title. Tony Storm versus Athena for the AEW Women's World title. And Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi versus Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks in a lights-out steel cage match. Quite a show. Look, lineup wise, it's a great show. Like, those are all going to be great matches. No doubt about it. But I think we have some thoughts about it that are, I think we're a little confused about some stuff, both of us, but for maybe slightly different reasons. But I think it's worth talking about. So, Joshi, why don't you lead us off?
Why don't you call it down the middle, Shivani?
What? You
Try not to be biased, Shivani.
Shivani?
Huh?
Are you with me?
Hey, sorry. Yes.
Your eye thing it's starting to look, oh God. Okay, go ahead. Share your thoughts.
Well, okay. I want to share my thoughts first, and then I'll take a look at my eye.
Please.
You're scaring me.
Why? You're scaring me.
Okay, gosh, I'm
now you're
sorry.
Calling me Shivani?
I think I look great. Well, I know that you and Shivani are related, so
I don't think no.
You both wear glasses.
That's true.
Okay. So Forbidden Door.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I feel the way I feel about this show, and people can tag me on social media and tell me to feel differently and come up with excuses. Respect my opinion, please. I don't want to fight with people. I just feel the way I feel. Forbidden Door is one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. I get really excited every year because I get to see all these wrestlers from different promotions wrestle each other. It's a huge deal for me. And this Forbidden Door, I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it, but I've been feeling kind of underwhelmed by it. I understand that there's a G1 going on. I understand that there's a 5-star GP going on. But at the same time, when Tony decided that Forbidden Door would take place in August, he was aware of this. He's not an idiot. He knows that these tournaments happen at the same time every year. They weren't just going to change their schedule for Forbidden Door. I don't know if maybe that was an expectation, but that's not really fair to expect that from other promotions. I'm not putting all the blame on Tony Khan or anything like that. I just find it very surprising that they chose a month like August where it's just so busy. Their partners are doing other things, and a lot of the wrestlers are unavailable, and there isn't a lot of time to build matches for Forbidden Door. And also, I understand that at the moment, New Japan doesn't have as many big marquee names like they had last year and the year before. Okada's now in AEW. Will Ospreay's in AEW. Naito is gone. I completely understand that. My thing is, and I've been wanting this for a while, actually, iBlade, for the men and for the women. Why can't we have a battle royal or something for the men and the women, where you have wrestlers from different promotions in that battle royal? You get to introduce them to the American audience, and then people will become interested. This, you know what? This has been a thing of mine for a while. Ever since they announced the first Forbidden Door, I thought, well, why not? This is your opportunity to use as much talent as possible from all these promotions. And I was hoping that they would do something like that this year. They haven't, because, okay, yes, I understand. Stardom is busy. New Japan is busy. But those aren't AEW's only partners. They also have Tokyo Joshi, DDT, and they have CMLL. And actually, considering how strong the relationship with AEW and CMLL is at the moment, I thought we would get way more CMLL representation at Forbidden Door. I honestly thought we were going to get MJF versus Mystico. I thought they were going to save Hangman Adam Page versus MJF for All Out. That didn't happen, and I was actually starting to think, yeah, we're getting Hangman MJF at Forbidden Door. Like the past couple of weeks, that just got stuck in my mind because they were just building it. At that point, you're going to just put it on hold? So I figured. But I mean, when you look at the Forbidden Door card, the majority of these matches are AEW versus AEW talent. It doesn't feel like a cross promotional event to me. And I'm bummed by that. I just am. And I don't think that I'm being unfair. I love AEW. I'm not going to stop watching AEW because of this. But as an AEW fan, when you're telling me this is our biggest cross promotional show of the year and most of your matches feature AEW talent, I'm sorry, I'm going to be disappointed. I mean, if they would have decided to just have an AEW pay per view in August, cool. I wouldn't care. I'd be like, awesome. But it's called Forbidden Door for a reason. It's to showcase talent from different promotions. And we're not getting that. Much of that. I mean, of course, we're getting it, but not to the extent that I'm used to. And don't get me wrong. I'm super excited for Persephone to be in the match with Mercedes. I'm very excited to see who they're going to announce from Stardom. But if you look online, just like fans of Stardom, for example, a lot of fans wanted to see Saya Kamatani at Forbidden Door. There were fans that wanted to see the IWGP Women's Champion, Sari. And so it is disappointing that we're not going to get to see all these women, especially because throughout the year, yes, we get to see a lot of CMLL talent in AEW, which is awesome. We get to see a lot of New Japan talent in AEW, which is awesome. I mean, at this point, Ishii might as well be signed to AEW because he's there every week, but we don't get that with Stardom. And so Forbidden Door is when I get really excited and think, oh my God, Starlight Kid, she's going to be at Forbidden Door. And I know how much Tony Khan loves her. She hasn't appeared in AEW once. So in my mind, I think, all right, they're going to save it for Forbidden Door. But it doesn't look like that's happening. And so then I'm just kind of bummed because I want to see a stronger relationship between AEW and Stardom. I do feel that one is lacking at the moment. And it makes me sad because I've been wanting this for so many freaking years. And it was cool to see Momo in AEW. Don't get me wrong. We got to see Azumi here and there. Last year, Mina, while she was signed to Stardom, she showed up in AEW quite a bit. I was just hoping we would get more of that with more Stardom talent, and we haven't. So it's like when they announced Tony Storm versus Athena, I thought, okay, that's going to be a great match. I don't know what happened, but like just blaming this whole thing on Coldplay and on the tournaments and everything, I don't think that's really fair. I do think that AEW has other partners that they can work with. And unfortunately, we don't really get to see that this year. And I can't give you a reason, but I think it's totally fine for fans to feel kind of bummed out by it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is you made a lot of great points there, which is, look, New Japan isn't their only partner. Stardom isn't their only partner. You know, they have other people from other places that they could bring in. They've made such a point to really focus on building the visibility of their CMLL relationship this year. And there's nobody from CMLL besides Persephone on this show. So it would have been great to see more involvement there. As I understood it, last year, these shows have been paid for jointly by New Japan and AEW. Was New Japan's participation this year? I don't know, because, there's been all this talk about contracts and people working without contracts. I don't know what the status of Bushi Road really is right now. But also I think them doing Dynasty in Japan this year, what was the significance of that? Was that like instead of being more involved because Forbidden Door is in August? Like, I don't know. So I don't know why it's happening, but I completely understand people being a little disappointed because, look, guys, at the end of the day, we can make all the excuses we want, but the show is called Forbidden Door. Okay. It is. I'm not, and I want to be clear, I'm really not that disappointed because the people from New Japan, aside from maybe Shingo Takagi, that I would like to see are going to be there. Okay. I love Hiromu. I love Zack Sabre. I love Tanahashi. I love that he's going to be there. And AEW does have a lot of the people that I used to look forward to seeing in AEW now. So I think that's also part of it. But Japan is in a state of rebuilding. Their economy isn't great. They have a bunch of New Japan particularly has a bunch of young stars that they have to develop to make them more marquee names. You know, Yota Tsuji, Shooter, you got Uemura, you got Oiwa, you know, you got these people that are really, really on the cusp of doing something big. They're just not quite there yet. And I think next year will be different. But let's hope that this is the only Forbidden Door that's like this. One suggestion that was brought up by our friend of the show, Answan, was don't do title matches, just do dream matches. I think that's good because when you do title matches, it makes the outcomes pretty predictable. So we'll see. We'll see. But I do think it's going to be a great show. But I completely understand why people are disappointed. Guys, don't try to correct people's opinions. They're just opinions, you know? So if you don't agree, that's cool, but whatever.
Also, maybe they don't have to do Forbidden Door every year.
Well, that's right. And maybe Forbidden Door becomes a once every couple years or just when it makes sense to do kind of thing. You know, it's been awesome that they've done it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be every year. And maybe they do, an exclusive event in they did a Grand Slam Mexico this year. You know, they did Dynasty in New Japan. Maybe the structure is just changing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's what it is. But I don't think you should call it Forbidden Door if it's almost entirely AEW versus AEW talent. You know, so that, I don't think the people going to the show who bought tickets a year ago, I don't think they're feeling disappointed with this card by any stretch. So it's going to be a great show, no doubt. But Forbidden Door is a phrase coined by Hiroshi Tanahashi about the relationship between New Japan and AEW. So calling it Forbidden Door, a little misleading, but whatever. Anyway, folks, go to sickosclub.com. Make sure you're subscribed to this podcast. We want to know how you're feeling about Forbidden Door. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Leave us a comment on Spotify. Leave us a comment on our social medias. We're Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out on all platforms, except Blue Sky, which we're sudsumopod.bluesky.social. God damn it. You guys, can you figure out a fucking better way to do these names? Anyway, go check us out there. But until next time, I'm Blade Daly.
I'm Joshi G.
Pro wrestling forever. Joshi, get your fucking eye checked out, please.
Fine.